Hey, welcome back. In the last episode, we reviewed the Survey App mockup, and it was a static HTML page that we reviewed. In this episode, we're going to install Laravel, and we're going to move that static mockup into a Blade component. So let's take a look at the steps that we have to do to get that done. The first step is we're going to install Laravel. As I mentioned before, Laravel has stellar documentation. And if you go to their installation page, you're going to see instructions on how to install Laravel. And we're going to be following these instructions here. So the first thing is I'm going to copy this. I have already done this on my machine, but there's no harm in running it again. We're going to come down into our terminal window and I'm going to paste this in. And so this is going to curl down a installation of PHP for me. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. So if we review everything, it downloaded the PHP library, composer, Laravel installer, some certificates, and it gives you an indication that those things have been successfully installed. And then there's a bit of marketing for Laravel Herd here. So let's clear this out. So let's come back over to the installation. So now it does say after you run this command, if you run this for the first time, you may have to restart your terminal session to get everything working. If you already have PHP installed, then you can just run this command instead to install just the Laravel installer. But we have the Laravel installer installed already. And the next thing we're going to do is use the Laravel new command to create our app. So I'm going to copy this. Come back over to our development environment, and the directory that you run this in matters. So we're running this in our parent directory here that holds the _design_videos. So I'm going to paste in the command, and then we're going to make a few modifications. And the only thing I'm going to change is the name of the application. I'm just going to call it app. I think that's simple enough. So what that's going to do is it's going to create an app directory inside of this top level directory. And it's going to place all of the Laravel code inside of there. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter here. It is a wizard. It's going to ask us what we would like to install, and we're just going to keep this minimal. So we're going to answer none for the starter kit. The framework, we're going to use pest, and let's see, it's going to install Laravel for us, go through everything. We will eventually need a database. We're going to use SQLite for this. It's already run some migrations for us. And now it's asking if we want to run npm install and npm run build, and we're going to go ahead and let it do that. And so if we explore now what we have an app directory, and then I've got the Laravel application inside of my app directory now. So it's giving us hints on what we should do next. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new terminal window, and we're going to do this in another terminal window. So we're going to switch into our app directory, and then you can see that it says composer run dev. I'm going to label that as my app. As with a lot of frameworks, Laravel makes it easy to start up a development server. We're going to run this composer run dev, and that's what it's going to do for us. And at this point, I should be able to either visit the 127.0.0 URL or the localhost URL, and let's see what we get. So we get the Laravel out of the box application. So this step of installing Laravel, we're going to mark that as completed. I'm going to close this tab out. Let's come back on over to our slides here. I did summarize what we ran is we ran this top line and then we ran the bottom line. We didn't run this middle line because the installer is installed with the top line. All right, so now we have a few more steps to take before we can get this mock-up installed and running. And remember, the goal is to take our static HTML, which is what we got in our design, and we're just going to pull this over into our Laravel application. So it's still going to be a static HTML page, but at least it's running through our Laravel server. So there's a couple of steps here. We're going to create a new route. We're going to create this new survey blade template, and then there's going to be a number of little things that we have to do to make this work. So let's go back on over to our development environment. And if this is your first time in Laravel, routing is an important concept you want to wrap your head around. In Laravel, you're going to define your routes here in this routes web page. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new route. I'm just going to copy this because it's going to be very similar. And the route we're going to add is going to be a /survey route. So in your browser, if you hit the /survey route, you're going to end up visiting the welcome page, which is the same one as the / page. So let's go and see that first. I'm going to come back to our application. Here's our / page. If we go to /survey now, I should get the same page. So nothing really new here. It's just a different endpoint, but the same view. So let's go back over. Let's create a new blade called survey. So now I have to create a new file here. Now these files, welcome, you're going to see these under resources and views. We'll see the welcome blade right there. So we're going to create a new file here, and this file is going to be called survey. And then it's important that we have this .blade.php extension. That signals to Laravel that it needs to compile this blade template. So we're going to go ahead and create that. It's a blank template right now. So whatever I put in here, just put some garbage in there. I have my new route hooked up to that blade template. If I come back over to my development environment, you can see it's already refreshed and I get this new view here. So next thing, I want to go back into our design. If I come back up here, we have our design. In our public, we have this wizard template. So I'm going to copy all of this markup, and this isn't just markup, but it also has this script at the very top, but that's okay. We're going to paste this, remove our fancy view here, and we're going to paste this all in here. This isn't quite going to work yet, but I'm going to go ahead and save it, and let's see what our page looks like now. I'll refresh this. And so now you can see that we have this new view content. It's not styled how we want it yet, but let's go ahead and work on that next. So let's come back over here. We're going to close out our wizard. We shouldn't need that anymore. One of the things that we noticed is we're using the Tailwind packages, and we're going to install these as dev dependencies down here. And just so I can keep my server running and install those dependencies at the same time, I'm going to once again open up another terminal window, and we're going to switch into app. And now I'm sitting in this directory here, and now I can use npm to install these new dependencies. So we're going to run npm install Tailwinds CSS and also at Tailwind CSS/Vite, and we'll put a -d on that. So now it has installed those new dependencies for me here. And if I close down this package.json file and I open up the one for our development, you can see now it has the Tailwinds and also the Tailwind/Vite. If I come back over and I refresh my page, not expecting anything to really change here. And the reason it is because we don't have Tailwinds configured yet. So let's work on setting up Tailwinds. So we don't have a Tailwind config. Let's go ahead and just copy this from up here. Copy that, we'll paste it into our app. So now we have this app/Tailwind config, and it looks like that. All right, let's close these out. I want to look at our Vite config next. So Vite in our design looks like this, and Vite in our application looks like that. It does have this Tailwind CSS already there, so I think we're okay with this so far. And it is compiling this app.css, which is where we're going to have to do our next stop at. So let's close these out. I think these are okay. Let's look at our public styles.css. This will be equivalent to our app.css. I'm going to grab all of this content. Let's look at our resources CSS. Here's our app.css. I'm going to paste this in. Where's the easiest? I'll paste it in at the very top, and we'll move some stuff around here if we have to. And there's some duplication, so this is already imported. We don't need that old one. I have my dark variant, and these are all fine. Tailwind utilities. Let's go ahead and move this down below. All right, so let's give this a try. Let's npm run build. We'll build everything. If I come back over to our environment and I refresh this now, I'm still not getting any changes, and the reason that is because I haven't imported that CSS into this page yet. So close these out. Let's take a look at our welcome page. I'm sure it imports the Vite. Here we go. So this is the line we want right here. This is going to import the compiled resources into our HTML. And I need to add a line like that into our survey at the very top here. Instead of this line here where we're importing the CSS, we're going to use Vite now to import that. If I come back and I refresh one more time, there, I'm starting to get some changes. So this visually looks like it should look like. And if I click the theme button right now, that's not going to work. And if I look at the dev tools, let's see what it says. I get this error and 404 not found on the theme.js. So let's go back to our development environment. Let's work on that next. In our design, we have this theme.js, which has a function here that we're exporting. Let's copy this and let's paste this into our JavaScript directory here. And let's look at our app.js here, importing Bootstrap. This is our Bootstrap. It's going to import these things. And if we look at our survey.blade, we have this bit of code here at the very top. This script module, we're importing this from theme.js. And then we're calling this document element. This is going to be on every single page. So I think let's take this, delete it from here. Let's come back to our app.js, and maybe we do this in here. And let's go ahead and try to compile. Get some error. Just can't find it. I think maybe because I have to do maybe / just to let it know where it's at. Let's run it again. So now I got everything compiled. So this bit of code now isn't in my survey anymore. It is just in my application, which is fine for now, I think. So let's go ahead and refresh over here. And I can tell already that my dark theme is running. So let's click it back and forth, we can see that that's functioning. The next button is disabled because this is required. Let's select that. Let's see if that JavaScript functions. Let's go ahead and just answer questions and see if we can get all the way through this. So I got that page filled out. Let's get some stars. My short comment. Let's change this to an 8. Yes, and my optional feedback. Click next. I should get my summary page, and the summary page is functioning, and the submit's not functioning yet, but that's okay. So let's go back to our development environment and just summarize what we've done. And first thing we started off with is we introduced a new route. We have this /survey route that's going to feed us this new survey blade template, which we introduce here in resources views. You can see the survey blade template. To get this functioning, we added the Vite imports here, and we took out this subcode for the theme, and we put that into our .js file. So here's our .js with these 2 new lines of code. We also added into our app.css a few lines of code to work the dark theme, and we imported the Tailwind utilities. We pulled over our Tailwind config from our static application, and I don't think we did any changes in here for our Vite config, but we did pull in the Tailwinds and the Tailwind/Vite. And I think when we pulled this in, it probably updated the Vite config to add that new plugin. All right, so this is a good ending point for this video. Let's come back to our Git environment. And let's see our status here. We have added our new app code. Before we add this, I want to look at my git ignore. And let's go ahead and close these other files down. And I have quite a few things here, but we're not quite complete here. I'm ignoring all my node modules. I also want to ignore my vendor directories. And you know what? I'm just going to copy and paste a number of other common ones here that I found. And let's just get rid of the ones we don't need. So the vendor, I just put that at the very top. The node modules, I got that. Here's our npm debug log. We don't want that in there. I don't need any of this Laravel 4 stuff. Laravel 5 and above. This is going to be in our app directory. So prefix all these with app. Any.env, if I find that anywhere, I should ignore that. These 2, we're not using Homestead, so I'm going to just get rid of these 2. Okay, so I think my git ignore now includes the vendor, includes these public stuff, the .env files. I think we're okay. So let's come on back down. Let's go ahead and add everything into it. Let's see what our status looks like. Make sure we didn't pick up anything we didn't want to pick up. So it's got maybe some things here from my editor. I think I'm fine with that. Configs, database, Cedar. All right, I think we're okay there. Let's do a commit message. This is video 02. Let's go ahead and we can push this. Let's not forget to tag this. And we can push our tags. All right, so we go back over into our GitHub repo and I refresh this page now. I should now see I have video 2 tags and I've got my app in here now. So everything is where we want it to be. So let's close this out. Let's get back to our slide deck, and we just did that. Up next, we're going to start taking our static HTML and we're going to start transforming this into our Laravel application. The first steps are we need to refactor out that long static page into some layouts, maybe some partials, and maybe some components. So we'll look at that in the next video. We'll see you then.